Hi, and welcome back to Tale of the Peopleless. This is a hybrid game and talk show where I play through games and tell you some real stories about North Korea on human rights and development based on research I've done in this field. So, last time I opened up this series, North Korea the country, to talk about life on the ground. I really hope that as you get through watching the series, you can see North Koreans like just people and move away from North Korea as just some political target or like a meme nation. And I don't mean you shouldn't study Korean geopolitics. You should study Korean geopolitics because it's pretty fun. It's useful too. I just don't like it when people take a whole nation of tens of millions of people and just reduce it down to one person that they always see on the news. North Koreans are real. They have a culture. They're genuinely funny and nice people. If you ever get a chance to drink with them, really, don't pass it up. Now let me tell you about today's deck. It is another gimmick one from Swayze. He puts up a warning not to try it at home, which makes a lot of sense. It really will just kick you right off the ladder. It has too many counters, too few win conditions. It does have a win condition, and then it has nothing else going for it. So basically, you use the standard stuff, Elves, Gene, Badger Molcob, Leyline Weaver to ramp into 3 major cards. So you've got Felidar Retreat, which lets you get tokens or pump counters every time you drop a land on the battlefield. Doubling Season, you already know. Doubling Season doubles your tokens and counters every time you drop them. So that's already a solid combo. Then the key piece is Oko, the Planeswalker. He doubles all of your permanents with his ultimate. So if you're thinking about the doubling season, that means it becomes a quadrupling season. If you got more than one, it gets even worse. And normally you'll have to build up to his ultimate, but if you already have the season, then he comes in with enough loyalty that he can just pop that ultimate immediately and just copy everything. But when he does this, you need to have a land in your hand ready to drop, or else the opponent will probably retaliate and you might be SOL there. I personally like to have Earthbender Ascension here, because once it's doubled, it'll immediately call in some new lands. Plus, it also throws counters everywhere, and it even gives trample on the off chance that your opponent has more blockers and you have creatures ready to go. So basically, once the combo takes off, then it becomes a game of solitaire. Opponents almost always just scoop because they know they're not going to win, and they'll just have to sit there forever as I work my way through triggers, maybe a stack of like 80 to 90 triggers. And once everything resolves, it's easy to have creatures with power, basically in the millions, or just the match will crash out with a Greg error, hit a tie, whatever. Also, we have a collector's cage over here to increase the chance that this all actually happens. It makes it easier to get things out quickly with lower costs. So that plays pretty well with ramp and with Badger Cub's little bending ability. It also works with doubling season. And it works with Oko even after it fetches you a permanent. So it's a little bit extra on top. You can keep putting counters on, and then once it's Oko'd, it's gonna give you another collector's cage. So that'll help you get more permanents, and then you can call in another land, you can call in another ascension, and so on. So the only problem is that opponents will usually rush in or sweep everything out before you get set up. So it's just not a competitive deck, but it is fun and hilarious. So yeah, I enjoy it. Now, last time we covered the northern provinces of North Korea on the border of China and Russia. So let's move to the center of the country today. There are only like 2 central provinces and 2 special cities. So you already know Pyongyang is one of the special cities. We're not going to talk about that today. Pyongyang just has too much to talk about, so many lectures worth of material, I can't squeeze it in. But we'll pick up from the southern partners of provinces that we got to last time. So first we have South Pyongan, which is right next to North Pyongan, if you'll believe it. What was exciting about it before was the city of Nampo, but that split off into a special city, so I'll get there later. We're off to a bad start here. That's fine. Alright, so it borders Pyongyang, that's kind of a good thing. It means that the supply lines are pretty good, which is better for things like hospitals and schools, making sure you have food and all that. That's a pretty big province with maybe over 4 million people. Probably less, maybe 3 million with the Nampo split. I think the last time We had numbers on population was probably 2008, and Nampo just got up and walked off in 2010, so there's that. It's not really exciting for business or anything like that. I mean, they have like fertilizer plants, pesticides, coal mines, vinylons, really just factory farm materials. But yeah, if you couldn't guess, they have power shortages that keep screwing up their outputs. They might be making materials for chemical weapons. Don't quote me on that, because I'm just going on educated speculation from weapons production researchers. It's not my thing personally. A little closer to home is this big dam system and the co-op farm. I think if you can get a tour, Pioneer Tours does the thing. They do tours of the dams. They got like 8 kilometers, 5 or so miles. And I don't know, it's like this whole national pride thing. When it opened up in the 80s, they were like, mankind is beating the sea. Look at how swole we are. It's this narrative about taking over nature, rebuilding it, so and so. It's called the West Sea Barrage, by the way, the dam system, which is absolutely a name that I would call out as my finishing move. Yeah, someone add that to the Workers' Party video games, man. Give it to Lee Kyung-chol, their governor. That's my main. Yeah. The Cheongsanli co-op, though, it's also kind of a big deal. It's the biggest model farm in North Korea. It's another tour stop. The fact that it's a tour stop is kind of cool. Usually if you go to Pyongyang, they're not going to just let you into the countryside. But that means, I imagine, that they're seriously trying to tie up loose ends there. No hands in your pocket. Hey, we got some Europeans visiting. That whole, I don't know, semi-manufactured deal, I guess. Like, is this real? Is this not real? That kind of situation. But you can find some videos of that area over on YouTube. I know they got videos of kindergartens over there. The kids are all lined up and they're singing in a very, North Korean way, right? Yeah, just go check that out. Model farms are worth seeing. Just, you got to know that way up north, it's probably not going to be like that. Just down in the center, more Pyongyang, right? Oh man, don't let me forget about the hot springs. They got this absolutely decked out hot spring in Yangdol. They opened it up, back up after COVID. You have to pay with dollars or euros to get in though. So yeah, you're probably not going to hear any everyday North Korean person talk about it. It costs $10, which is fat stacks for everyone who isn't already a party prince or something. They're actually giving out special giveaways to war vets and stuff. I don't know, it's like Hawaii or something. What am I gonna... That's pretty funny. Why not? Why not? I'll just do that. What happens? That's pretty cool, yeah, right? What happens when that dies? I guess we'll find out later. I'm not gonna lie, I saw the pictures for the hot springs and I really want to go there too, but I think I'm just gonna settle for Japan or something because I don't have the hookups. I think at some point they're gonna let in foreign tourists, so if you're not American like me, then you could probably add that to your bucket list. Something like Yangdok. That was it, yeah. So, right, Nampo, Sea Town, West Sea, Port City. Broke off from Pyongan more than 10 years ago. It's right up by Pyongyang, so good enough for them, I guess. I think I remember that Irish civil engineer. He was talking about taking trips out there. Nampo is all about the port. people work in cargo, steving it up. 70 ships a year, if you care. They send out coal, they take in grain, they build ships out there too. Fun fact, everything gets screwed up in the winter when the port freezes over. They just can't move, they can't do anything. This might strike you as a huge surprise, but they like to eat seafood over there. And the only other central province in North Korea is South Hamgyong, which despite the name is actually more like west of North Hamgyong. It's south of Yangon. So half the province touches the East Sea. So it's actually pretty similar to Nampo and South Pyongyang, that it has a few port cities basically. I think the big thing is factories though. South Hamgyong is huge for all kinds of industry. We're talking like chemicals, clothing materials, machines. There's this big movement in the 1950s. You might have heard of it, the Chollima movement. This legendary Chinese flying horse, Chollima. So they called it the Chollima movement. And that movement was basically Kim Il-sung telling the country, all right, we're not going to rely on other countries. We're going to have our own factories. We're going to make all our own stuff. Everyone get to work. Well, that didn't work. But they did build a lot of factories and they made that a huge thing. So I'm not getting any, I'm just getting time wasting draws. Like this is, I'm sorry, this is not very entertaining. I just have everything bent, but there's nothing going on here. So they did build a lot of factories. They made that a huge thing. So probably most state organized work, aside from government bureaus and military, farm and factory work. That's pretty big for South Hamgyong, especially being a couple of stones throw away from Pyongyang. So they have stuff to do there to make money, or at least food and products like that. They got a big theater there too in Hamhung City, but don't ask me what they show there. Probably the Book of Mormon. If you know anything about North Korean theater, then just yeah, shoot me a link. I'd love to know. Okay, so what happens when I do this? I gotta find out. Oh, okay, so that just works normally, all right. Okay, and I found out they grow sweet potatoes there. And a good bit of fish. Mackerel, cod, pollock, some salmon, and they have all these mines and forests for wood production. When I look at this place, I see another missed opportunity. You know, I was thinking North Korea is some kind of desert, but with provinces like these, I think the issue is more about organizing resources in some practical way. None of these guys have reach, right? Just the weavers, right? So they're probably going to go down next turn. That's fine. Wait, what? Oh. No. I don't think that'll work. Yeah, I mean, I think if some talented development planners took control of the province, then they could probably be eating good and exporting high quality resources, you know, than the sanctions thing. All right, so that's all of central North Korea. So we'll go down to the DMZ now, all the DMZ border. Man, this dude is just not gonna let me have any fun. I'm not here. So right, along the DMZ, we have 3 provinces along the border, and we have one more special city. So from the west side, we have South Hwanghae, and this is a real farm area. They grew a lot of rice and corn and other vegetables. I think it has the most rice fields of any province. Now, the weird thing is this, because it has less mountains and more vegetable fields, more sunny days, they made it through the 1990s much better than the other parts of the country. But also, if you look at the data, if you look at scientific reports and stuff, if you look at the averages, their yields are not that good. They're actually getting worse if you compare it to other parts of the country. So what's going on? I'm not a farm tech specialist. I can't tell you definitively. I don't have that information. Oh, I got all the pieces. Sweet. What I will tell you is what some agro researchers came up with. They're saying that other provinces brought in newer technology for farming, and South Hwanghae didn't. So it's actually turning out worse compared to other parts of the country. And this makes sense to me. It's a sort of paradox, right, of development. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So other parts of the country are broke, they fix it up, and they get better at farming really quickly. But South Hwanghae is already great at farming, so why bother? And then if you add climate change and all that into the mix, actually things are breaking and we're not seeing it, right? So South Hwanghae is kind of cursed, right? Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of my high school. A quick tangent here. So I grew up in a conservative city where they basically hated handing out public money for education or really just for anything except to rich people and to oil plants. Our high school was a magnet school, so it had this image of being like a bunch of elitist nerds or something like that. We always had the best test scores in the city. So people in the city, they didn't want to give us money because why fix what ain't broke, you know, when all the other schools are doing pretty bad, right? Well, our school fell apart, right? The ceiling tiles fell in the middle of class. Eventually they had to just like close the whole thing down and rebuild it. It took a couple of years. They moved all the students out to another school on the other side of the city, and then after 2 or 3 years they finished the school, moved everyone back. That's South Hwanghae, right? Farmland. Yeah. They were going to have a special zone in Haeju City, by the way, but that hasn't happened. There's just been too many issues getting it off the door. I think it was like probably a failed agreement with South Korea to make that happen, or another sanctions issue, something like that. So, North Hwanghae, of course, is right next door, squeezed in between South Hwanghae and Pyongyang. There's not a whole lot to add here. It's a lot of the same. Hwanghae is farm country. All right, real quick, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna pop off. This is the thing. Make sure to keep a land in hand here. All right, so this is not going to be the biggest fireworks, but it's. Is it game over here? It may or may not be. Let's see. Let's double it up. Oh yeah. Okay, right. So this is going what, 2 to the 8th power? Yeah. Okay. So right, real small one here. Nope. And let's go. Good game, my friend. Yeah, so this was a small pop-off. I didn't have the Ascension. I didn't have the cage, so I didn't go crazy. So, Hwanghae, South Hwanghae, right? Hwanghae is farm country. You might hear about South Hwanghae's biggest city, Sariwon. It's sort of like the land route Singapore of North Korea. And what I mean by that, it's a transport crossroads junction. So you got roads, like car roads leading to Pyongyang, right? You got railways leading to the north. You got river lanes going to the coast. It used to be this big commercial city back when the Japanese were there, back when the northern side of the Korean peninsula was big for trade and moving things across Asia. So, okay, most important thing about Sariwon, makgeolli. It is apparently known for the best makgeolli in North Korea. Do you know what that stuff is? It's like sake, but it's not filtered very well. It's a kind of like rice liquor, something like 5 to 10% alcohol. It's got the starchiness and fizz of beer. And if it's made well, it has a kind of like yogurt flavor, thick and sweet. It's good. It rocks, honestly. This is a bad hand. I have the cage and no other pieces of the puzzle. Well, here at least I have one piece of the puzzle, so I guess I'm keeping this, and I get a starting town, and yeah, I got no choice. So let's get rid of one cage. So yeah, one of my favorite drinks, man, makgeolli. Come get some if you ever end up in South Korea. It tastes like sweet, ricey yogurt. It's a little bit bubbly. Yeah, good stuff, really good stuff. If we're going across the map, Kaesong is next, but we'll get back to that. There's stories about that. We'll get there. Okay, so I know what's gonna happen. I need to tap these guys first so I can get the cub out, and then I can get the cage out. Auto tap never works, right? Okay, and now I can get the cage. By the way, I'm not caring about like hit point damage or anything like that. I'm just trying to run. Okay, cool. Doubling season. All right. So before we get to Kaesong, I'm going to tell you about the last province on the east side, and that is Gangwon. So fun fact, there is also Gangwon in South Korea. Exact same name. If you look at a North Korean map, there's no like North and South Gangwon. There's just this one big province, and it happens to cross the DMZ for a while. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, and I can get the Felidar now too, I think. Can I? No. It's got something sickness, just kidding. Okay, yeah, and let's hold on. Okay, so there's South Korea's Gangwon is huge, but North Korea's Gangwon not so much. I mean, it's kind of average, but it's like 1/3 the size of the other Gangwon. Let's see, 1, 2, yeah. No, I'm gonna hold on, because then once I get the Felidar out, it's gonna make me stronger. Right, like that, right? And then I can untap it. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So I can get the... Oh, you know what? Oh yeah, I can do this. Let's see if I can go ultimate with this. Alright, let's double everything, and then I can probably get an ascension with the cage, right? Yeah, so this guy's gonna go up. This guy's gonna go up. Yeah, North Korea's Gangwon. You can probably guess the economy. 3 Fs, fish, factories, farms. 3 Fs of North Korea. This is really cool. It's happening on both sides now. Oh man, another doubling season is hilarious, but no, I need to get more land in. And another land. Okay, cool. Now we're talking. Now this is the fun stuff. Yeah, why not? I'm just gonna pump the life out of this. All right, and now I can just. Let's do this, and this, and then this. All right, this is it. This is where we start to go infinite. I love this. This is my favorite. I just need 2 really big guys, and then it's over. Oh man, he's getting so much life. I'm sorry. I gotta keep talking about Gangwon, but this is funny, man. All right, and I'm gonna put a counter on this guy here. I can't play it. Oh, that's too many. Oh no. Okay, I'm just gonna leave this guy up. All right. Sorry, my friends. We need to stand by for a little bit. Or, no, he's got something sickness if I do that. I'm going to stand by and let them go on the defensive. This is too funny. Yeah, Gangwon, North Korea's Gangwon, probably the province I'd most want to visit. Oh, man. I didn't want to see it get worse. Okay. It's the one I want to visit the most because it has a lot of nature that stands out to me. I mean, South Korea's Gangwon too. I've been there many times. South Korea's Gangwon is beautiful, so I imagine North Gangwon is also beautiful. North Korea Gangwon is sandwiched between a bunch of resort lands, right? So first on one side, you got the Taebaek Mountains, and they're covered in all these pretty Buddhist temples. Now here's the thing about Buddhism, right? So religion is generally not okay in North Korea. You can read NKDB's yearly report on this. They have this like freedom of religion report they release every year. North Korea, or Pyongyang at least, they really don't like people operating independent churches and temples. There's a whole big thing about this, like religion is it's a tool that can be used. It can be used to maybe like subvert Pyongyang's control or subvert the Kim's family's control. So they don't want that kind of opposition, right? But because it's so close to Pyongyang, what they can do, they can send out some officials to make these like, I guess we can call them official temples. And they're basically just they're not allowed to do anything that's really religious. They're not supposed to like work on their own and do their own thing. They're just supposed to sit there looking pretty whenever tourists come through. Then there's Mount Kumgang here too, which is pretty big. I remember talking to this Kiwi guy, this guy from New Zealand who does mountain tours in South Korea. He did that one. He has some great shots of it. He has good things to say about it. A lot of good things to say about it, I think. Oh yeah, I can do this cool little double move here. Sweet. You can tap an enchantment too. If you didn't know, you can tap enchantments. Yeah, he's got some good shots of Kumgang-san, so you might be able to check that out. All right, I'll look this one up here. The Heron Hall of Asia. Hotel Haegumgang. So this hotel was called the Four Seasons Barrier Reef Resort, which is Australia, right? This was opened as a floating hotel in the Great Barrier Reef in 1988. It was hell to run. All the bad weather and no one could get out there into the water to go there. So they closed it after like a year. And then it moved to Ho Chi Minh City and they named it Saigon Floating Hotel. Literally just a floating hotel, right? You can't make this up. Anyway, it did great for like 6 years. Am I gonna have enough? I should have enough to do this, right? If I got this right. And yeah, I should be able to do this now. Alright, tap this thing because it doesn't matter. Okay. And throw down some blockers. This one will be an island just in case I get the Oko. We can enter tapped. And we get 2 more blockers. Yeah, cool. Alright. We're almost cooking. We got all the ingredients are chopped and laid out. So yeah. Saigon Floating Hotel, man, it's just floating around. So it did great for like 6 years. The 90s were not great for Asia. Let me just say that. If you weren't aware, you can look up the Asian financial crisis, right? So it closed again, 1996. Who bought it? Hyundai. That Hyundai, car Hyundai, Chaebol Hyundai. And they moved it to North Korea in 2000. Okay. But Hyundai is South Korean. What happened here? Well, the times were good, okay? I'll say that. For a minute, North and South Korea were starting to rekindle their relationship, you know, walks on the beach, sweet whispers, hotel rooms secretly booked at night. Okay, I'll get back to that when we talk about Kaesong later. Anyway, they flew this unit over to Mount Kumgang, and it ran for like 8 years. And then they closed it, and it just kind of sat there, I don't know, collecting dust for, what, 14 years? And then Kim Jong-un said, yeah, blow it up. 2022. That was it. Rest in peace. Right, so what else do we have in Kangwon? One sun on the beach. Last year they opened up a beach resort. Can you imagine that? It's called Wonsan Karma. Right. North Korean Benidorm. That's the name, right? Water slides, lazy rivers. I think it's their biggest tourist resort in North Korea. White sand, blue water, no trash. They got 2 areas in there. They got one for North Koreans, one for international tourists. Which one's better? I don't know, but they said that the international zone is just like empty. Who's they? Who said that? Russians. Look this one up. There's this Russian influencer who just went around Wonsan Karma taking all these videos and stuff and posting it on her Rustagram or whatever they have there. VK, OK, not sure. I'm not into Russian media. Don't ask me too much. But you can find the shorts on YouTube. That's actually, it's really slick if you see the pictures and videos. Would I personally hop on a 100-meter high slide made in North Korea? No, but don't let me stop you, all right? I said I was going to talk about North and South Korea buddying up for a minute, right? So here's the deal. After the Civil War, South Korea was mostly run by like conservative factions who just hated North Korea. Then Kim Dae-jung was elected in 1998. He was like a progressive Democrat, right? His faction was like zoomed out, and they said, you know, there isn't originally like a North and South Korea. There's just Korea. Any president has this duty to help all North Koreans, right? To help North Koreans just as much as South Koreans. Yeah, why not? What happens with this now? What's this one going to be? Is this an ascension? Man, I'm just not getting the ascension. That's fine. So, right? I mean, if you're going to be the president of Korea, then which Korea are you going to be the president of? Both of them, right? I mean, that makes sense. This is the only way I can... Yeah, that's the only way I can do it. Whatever, who cares? I'm gonna win anyway. There, no. I just couldn't get the... Oh well, I'll just put in one more doubling season, why not? That's funny. No, actually, I shouldn't do that. I could actually lose if I do that now. I'll do that later. Alright, let's just put counters on everything. Yep, counters. Yep. And... yeah, why? I mean, why not? What do we have to lose? Alright, what's on this? Wait, what is that a land? Yeah, that's a land, right? Oh man, I'm out of land. Okay, I just gotta go in for it now. I don't think I can do anything with that guy. I'll just swing it now and end it. Because I just hate this deck too. Oh right, they have vigilance, right? So I can do the move. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna do this too. Isn't there a land? No? Okay, alright. Well, that's it. That was fun. Right. So Kim Dae-jung, right? He trying to informally reunify the Koreas, and his people got to talking with North Korea. This is in the 90s when North Korea was not doing so well by itself. And the South Korean people said to North Korean people, let's do some cooperation, right? Let's do some development. Let's see if we can really put some Korean spirit on the peninsula. They called it the Sunshine Policy, and a lot of people hated it. A lot of people still hate it because they considered it kind of bowing to your enemy, for other reasons too. But that's, I think the biggest one was like, why are we giving money to North Korea when North Korea is our enemy? So they said, Kim Dae-jung's people, they said, we're going to take some resources and we're going to try to get North Korean people eating and working and producing. I mean, I like this idea. I like it personally because it's very peopless, right? It's something for the humans, something for the people. So that's something I personally care about. Probably a lot of conservative taxpayers didn't like the idea, but I think tens or thousands of people would have died if it wasn't for the food and development aid that they got here. So I'm not going to complain. Anyway, one part of this development cooperation was an industrial project. Kaesong is right above the DMZ, below the Hwanghae provinces, so it's the closest part of North Korea to South Korea. They opened the Kaesong Industrial Complex in 2004. The idea of this was South Korean businesses would go there. They would go there with some South Korean managers. They would hire North Korean workers, and they would show them the ropes. South Koreans would get some returns on investment, so the aid would be like this kind of credit backflow, you know, put some money down, put some resources down now, in the future it'll come back. It was supposed to make more than it would cost, or at least it was supposed to reduce the costs. That was the plan anyway, you know. Very liberal, if you ask me. So it got up to like half of planned capacity. I think there are around 50,000 North Korean workers up there. There was all kinds of production. There were electronics, machines, fashion, rubber, plastic, the whole 9 yards. Really, really modern, functional stuff. I can't undo that, can I? They were making all kinds of really modern, functional stuff, things that could be turned into export products. They weren't just making, it wasn't like they were only making food or only making weapons or things like that. Put a joint office there, something that kind of works like an embassy. It was the only one that South Korea had in North Korea, as far as I know. The whole industrial complex in Kaesong, it was basically a town. It had bus depots, it had hospitals, things like that. I guess maybe like a 7-Eleven or something. I mean, it was really different for 2000s era in North Korea. Anyway, things got worse between the two Koreas. Presidents came and went, nuclear tests went off. North Korea said, we don't want to talk peace anymore. 2013, it was closed. After like, what was it? Like 10 years of work. And they talked through it and they opened it up again the same year. And then 2016, South Korea's president was very conservative. That was Park Geun-hye. She got pissed off. There's a satellite launch from North Korea. She said, oh, they're using our project to make money, and then they're spending it on weapons. F that, y'all. I'm outie like a button, and just slam the door on it. So if you remember 2018, 2019, there was this big thing with Trump going to shake hands with Kim Jong-un. He wins, right? It was a pretty good time for Korean relations too. It wasn't just US North Korea warming up, it was Korea warming up too. President Moon Jae-in, he did his walk across the DMZ, he held hands with Kim, he gave him a deep, passionate hug, they made out with tongue. The whole peace symbols thing, right? It was cool. They were gonna restart the Kaesong complex. And UN said, no, sanctions are sanctions. Everyone shrugged, COVID hit, North Korea set off a bomb in the joint office while blasting Chollima death metal. The joint office, man, they called it an eyesore. Unnecessary and useless, that's what they said. Absolutely no respect. No thanks. This isn't gonna work. So we don't totally know what's going on with the complex now. People have been checking satellite data. Buses come and go. They move around the whole park. Some researchers are saying maybe they're trying to bring in new materials or clean it up. Maybe they're trying to hook the electricity back up. We don't really know, but they might be trying to start it up by themselves without South Korea this time. So that's pretty much it for the Kaesong Industrial Complex. And rest in peace. There's a little bit more to the area. It's been preserved pretty well, even through 2 wars. You can see some UNESCO sites, you can see some old preserved monuments, and there's like this little village right up against the DMZ, Kijongdong. They say it's a Potemkin village with empty buildings or something. And they just turn up these loudspeakers and just blast death metal to the south and put up these really huge flags with a middle finger imposed over the North Korean national flag so that people on the southern DMZ village in Paju can see it. Taesongdong, by the way, it's the Freedom Village in Paju. You can check that one out. It's technically not North Korean stuff, so I'm not going to give you much on it, but it's still pretty cool to read about it. I don't think I can visit there. They're chained off for visitors. DMZ, man. Kaesong. All right, so I'm not going to pull up another match. I think that'll about does it for today. I think it's time to wrap it up. There's still a lot more to say about North Korean geography, especially if we get into Pyongyang. There are more industries. There are some specific sites in each of these provinces and little cities. Man, textbooks never tell you every single little thing. But I think I've given you all a good wide range of info, so you know a little bit about this, a little bit about that here and there. I definitely encourage you to look all these places up on YouTube. There's always like a little visual peep into this place or that place, especially if it's a tourist zone, like a border zone. But it might not be recent. You just have to keep looking into it, keep checking the news. Maybe one day we'll know everything about life on the ground in North Korea, but for now, we just got this little overview, so I hope you got something from it. I hope you can go up to people and be like, hey, let me tell you some little secrets about North Korea. So yeah, man, have a good one, and I'll see you next time. Keep on peopling.